Hello everybody, my name is Veladam01 and welcome back to City Skylines East of the Curtain, my former Eastern Bloc city building series. And it is a quite long time since there was an episode and a lot of things happened since then. For example, there was a live stream where I wanted to make something special for episode 20, but to be honest, that live stream turned out to be a complete disaster, so now it is unlisted and let's just pretend that it never actually happened. So I am just going to continue the numbering of the episodes like that live stream never happened. So this is the reason why this episode is number 20 and not number 21. Also, Gamecaster, the software that I used to record and stream my games and videos, was discontinued after March. I think it won't even launch now when I want to open it. And I had to switch back to Open Broadcaster. There were also a lot of updates and DLCs to the City Skylines game itself. And also City Skylines 2 was just announced, I think 2 weeks ago when I record this. So I have to buy a new computer or at least a new GPU because the current will probably melt or will just lag if I will buy and play the game when it will release. So, and also it might be a little bit late, but happy birthday City Skylines because the game just turned 8 years old. Anyway, in today's episode, I want to make here some kind of modern style expansion here with office buildings and a big shopping mall. So, let's do it. So first, I have built the shopping mall next to the transport hub at the edge of the downtown on the other side of the main road by taking out these old 50s style commercial buildings that were here as a placeholder. I think this is a really good location for malls to be built because it is kinda a busy place, often visited by many people who transfer here, so investors were just like, why we should not build here a mall? And by the way, malls in Europe, or at least in Central Europe, I have no information about malls in Western Europe, are not dead malls like in the USA, but are well alive and often visited. Maybe because Europe is not car-centric as fuck and the malls are not located on the edge of towns when there is literally nothing. Building there anything that is not a barnyard just makes absolutely no sense, and everyone goes there by car, and also online ordering and delivery didn't kill the malls here. Because they were built in a well-chosen location instead, that makes more sense, where they are easier to access by walking or public transport than by car, and they became more than just a commercial place like in America. They serve utility services like banks or post offices or hairdressers, and they are also like entertainment areas because in most of the malls you can find a cinema. They also act as community places where people can hang out, meet each other, or just eat and spend their free times when they have. So they stayed relevant in these days too. This mall here particularly is not based on any real life malls, by the way. It is just a generic big shopping mall that could have been constructed somewhere around in the 90s or the 2000s, and I really wanted to use that office building that you can or could see on the footage that I surrounded with other buildings, because this office building has a passage at the middle part of it where you can just basically drag a road with median under the building itself with anarchy, and I really wanted to use it as an access to the parking garage that I built later in this episode. So as I told you, I surrounded the middle part with these wall-to-wall commercial buildings from the Parks and Promenades DLC. You could see that I tried and tested many different kinds of buildings also, but I found out that these buildings were the best here for clipping together because other buildings covered too much or didn't cover enough, or were too tall or not tall enough. So basically I just wanted to hide the imperfections here of this building, and it actually matters which building you use for that purpose. Then I just wasted a lot of time to reset the buildings to make them all have the same color, blue on the one side and green on the other, and not just the ugly, boring default gray all around. And yes, I could have used the repaint mod for that, but I didn't want to copy and paste the colors all across the buildings, and man, I really miss that feature from the Move It mode that the older versions had, where you could just select every object with the bulk selection mode and just apply the color to all of them at the same time. For decorating this area, because I really wanted to do decorating videos again, not just these weird but left undecorated areas like in the last 2 or 3 episodes, I dragged these pedestrian paths from the Parklife DLC around the mall, and I just literally spammed a lot of rooftop props like these skylight windows and air conditioning units all across the rooftop, and decorated the side of the complex with logos of stores or fast food restaurants and other types of services that have location at this mall. But while I was recording this voiceover, I just realized that it would be kind of a mystery that how you can squeeze this many stores into this size of a mall. So there is a high chance that I need to revisit this area somewhere in the future to make some changes here to make it making more sense. Then I also built a big ass 3-story parking garage next to the mall using Proper Mike's compact modular garage pack. This garage could have been inspired by the one that is located at Campona Mall in Budapest, Hungary. Even though I was confused when I first used this garage pack and trying to find out how to use them, actually it was the easiest and fastest part of this footage that you can see right now on the screen because of heavy use of set object height or copy and paste function of the Move It mod, and it is worth using these buildings because they are actually really high capacity garages. It is also noticeable that I tried to be a little bit more creative and more human friendly when I'm building it. For example, placing down access elevator and staircase modules at the corners, and using the green wall vegetation versions on the edges that are not facing towards the 6-lane main road or the mall building itself, and also building at least 4 entrance modules with road networks going into the garage, but I think the last one is actually required in order to make it function correctly. You might wonder why I built the garage this large when I was talking about too much car dependence right at the beginning of this episode, of this time-lapse, sorry. This is because this is not only just for the shopping complex. You could remember when I was talking about serious parking issues in the downtown, I don't know which episode, in some of the previous episodes I can remember I was talking about it. You know that there is actually a shortage of parking spaces in the downtown? Well, this garage is an aim to fix these issues and to provide some parking to the residents living nearby. And also, this could be used as a park and ride parking lot because there is a major public transport hub literally next to the garage. So why just not integrate it into the hub, into a place where people just park their cars, then just continue on either by bus, trolleybus, tram, or the suburban railway line in whatever direction they would like to go. And here we are again at the downtown transport hub, which is getting redesigned again. This time it is getting some kind of a capacity expansion for the future because I plan to do more bus lines, for example the airport shuttle bus and many others serving this hub. So I just upgraded, or sorry, not upgraded but completely rebuilt the networks at the hub, because upgrading would just not work here, it would just cause tons of bugs and issues. I introduced and use here the Transport Hub Roads pack, a new custom network pack generated by the Road Builder mod, which is the most useful mod at the moment for city skylines. The pack contains 4 road assets, a 16 meter wide bus hub road, a 32 meter wide bus hub road, and the same 2 but also with trolleybuses. These roads are designed to be used for transport hubs as stated in their names, and they only have ground versions. As I can remember, I removed all elevations when I made them, The 16-meter version offers 2 lanes for vehicles to pass, an empty area next to the sidewalks on both sides, where the vehicles can pull over when there is a transit stop, or you can just put down parked vehicle props in a way that they don't collide with the actual traffic. And the 32-meter version is basically the same, but it has 2 amounts of everything, and a median with pedestrian lanes in the middle where you can actually put down transport stops which the citizens will be able to use. The pack is not yet on the workshop because it is still being tested by me, and I have already managed to create a somewhat usable version of them, but when it is 100% okay, I would also like to publish them so that you will be able to use them too. So upgrading the hub meant that I had to also rebuild everything from zero because the road width of the networks that I used here had changed and all the decorations overlapped onto the roads, which kinda annoyed me. So you can see that I just basically removed everything, for example procedural objects, decals, parked bus props, vegetation planters and any other decorations at the bus hub area of the square, and I just rebuilt everything from basically zero. I tried to do something that blends in better into this modern area, like a plaza or something, using the Japanese style decals which I colored red with PO, and some planters, trees, benches and some other street decorations. Also made a covered area for the passengers using the Copenhagen metro roof. And finally, I also tried to experience with an intercity bus stop at the hub, but the intercity bus infrastructure will be a topic for a future episode. After rebuilding the transport hub, I moved on to populate the empty area between the mall, the industrial estate and the bus depot. I wanted to do here something inspired by Soroksári út between the 2 bridges over the Danube. This place used to be a big cargo rail yard until the 80s or the 90s, but after it was decommissioned, the developers just decided to build up the area that was left empty. In this area in Budapest, on one side of the road there are these old and kinda classic style buildings mixed together with the newly built ones, while on the other side it is just these big modern complexes. So here between the main road and the railway track I wanted to create a modern office complex as it would be better than a residential one because of the noise coming from the main road or the train tracks or the industrial area. So I surrounded this place with some bluestone pedestrian road and created a nice walkable area with some additional pedestrian paths and placed down 2 office buildings made by bodybuilding, trying to make these into a really nice office park decorated with these planters with trees and nice garden-like vegetations all around the front of the buildings. And I also did some work at the back of them, like I connected up the other end of the train platform to the back alley, and I tried to separate the train tracks from the complex using a fence prop and a vegetation network to make it nice and more realistic, because in real life railway tracks are often separated from the surrounding area because the train operators really don't want people wandering along the railroad tracks. To finish today's project, I also tried to make a modern style residential block, but to be honest, this actually turned out to be way better. So the story is that I originally only wanted to use the wall-to-wall residential houses from the Parks and Promenades DLC, which are really great, and I wish that I had them when I was building the downtown in the first episode. Then I just realized that they aren't so usable on their own in the way I wanted. For example, not all of them have proper corner versions that I could have used. So I decided to mix some classic Central Euro buildings into these blocks, making them even more like the Soroksári út between Boráros tér and Lágymányosi híd. You can also see that I tried to also build some industrial buildings to give it a look that it was actually built on a decommissioned industry plant, but after experiencing with it, I just gave up because it didn't want to work. To decorate, I also dragged some pedestrian paths and copy-pasted some trees with planters around the block, unintentionally making the main road literally the longest pedestrian walkways in the city. To be honest, I could have used some modern buildings here instead the classic ones, but I kind of forgot that I actually subscribed to Roba's modern apartment pack on the workshop, but who cares. This area here turned out to be even better than the original plan which I wanted to build. Anyway, thanks for watching this episode, hope you all liked it. You will see some ending cinematics of the newly built areas at the end of this episode because the cinematic camera mod just suddenly started to work again, instead crashing the game when I play a camera path. If you want to keep updated or see random screenshots about the city, just follow me on Twitter at veladam01. Hope I will see you all in the next episode, which I have no idea when I will have time to make it or what I am going to build in it. But thanks for watching, see you all later, goodbye.